Hey everyone, hope everybody's doing well today. I wanted to come on here and talk to you a little bit today about the agony of waiting. I was in a Provider group last night, and it really felt to me like that was the theme of of the night and of the conversation. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So first of all, a previvor is somebody like me who has gone through genetic cancer screening and has a marker or a cancer gene, but doesn't have cancer, right? So a previvor is somebody who has the gene, doesn't have cancer, and a survivor is somebody who either has cancer, survived cancer, has fought it. Um, so last night's meeting was a Provider meeting. So it was all people like me, no cancer, have the gene, trying to figure out, do we do preventative surgery? Do we not? Do we wait? How long have we known? All of those kinds of things. And it was really interesting because it really ran the gauntlet of time. People as new as me, having just found out in December that I'm a gene carrier, people who have known for 10, 15 years and who have been, actively screening and, or have had a few scares, people who found out a year ago trying to make their decision, et cetera. And it was really interesting to understand and hear more Provider stories, because part of the reason why I'm documenting this is to help myself process it, but also because I didn't find a lot of stuff out in the internet world around previvors, and maybe I just wasn't looking in the right places. I don't know. I find myself to be somewhat technically savvy to do those kinds of searches, but I really wasn't finding anything. And so to have this community of women to talk to who are just like me was really amazing. But in that conversation, it really became apparent that there is this agony of waiting. And what I mean by that is every time we go to the doctor, there is this agony between going to the doctor, doing whatever test we need to do, and then waiting for the result. And it's kind of like everybody holds their breath until they get the result that it's all clear, because every time we do that, our fear is that whatever it is, it's going to be cancer, right? It could be, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, it could be brain cancer, toe cancer, like it's just going to be cancer. And so there's this agony that comes with waiting, right? Being in the unknown, and that fear that drives your being, right? Like, I'm trying to figure out how to articulate this, but it is that fear that just, you have to sit in it and wait, and fuck, it's uncomfortable and it's scary, and the only other people that get it like the way you feel are the people who have cancer, right? And God, that's a shitty comparison. But it's kind of how I feel, right? And it's difficult. So there is this agony of waiting, and it doesn't just pertain to going to the doctor, right? And waiting for whatever test result. We have a cold, and we have this weird ache, and and going and running these tests and trying to figure that out. But it's also knowing that you have this gene, and what is it going to do to you? We're lucky that we have modern medicine and that we can take these preventative surgeries and we can make these choices to reduce that risk further. But even that comes with still the agony of waiting, the agony of making the decision, will I, won't I have these surgeries? Then the agony of, will these surgeries go correctly? Then the agony of waiting for the surgery itself. Then the agony of, am I going to heal okay? Right? There is still this succession of agonies and waiting at all of these different points. And I don't know, it was just a really interesting theme that kind of occurred to me last night. And I just felt like it needed some attention to talk about it. And I don't really yet know how to navigate it. Suffice to say, talking about it, and acknowledging it, and understanding that, yeah, with all of these decisions comes that agony of waiting, of getting to that next step or that next place, right? Um, I also think that for people like us, these providers, we're still a gene carrier, right? There are other mutations, there are other ways that this disease can manifest. And so I think for us, there's always kind of this underlying agony of waiting to hear that we have cancer. And that sucks. That really, really sucks. And I don't know a way around that yet, right? I want to think that for me, BRCA1, my highest risks are breast and ovarian cancer. So doing these surgeries again, wipe that mostly off the table. Great. Doesn't take it down to zero, doesn't mean it won't happen. There are other risks here. There is uterine cancer. There is, if I don't take out my uterus, right? Um, there is bladder cancer. There is pancreatic cancer. If you're BRCA2, there are other mutations that can go to, I think, liver, pancreas, I think potentially brain, thyroid. There are others, and please don't quote me on that. I'm not a doctor. I'm learning this on the fly. But there are all these other mutations that can happen besides the highest risk ones, right? So, so there is this agony of waiting, this lingering fear that stays with you, that's always in the back of your mind. And it's hard. It's hard. And there's almost like a little bit of guilt around that too, because we're the lucky ones. We don't have cancer, at least not today. And yet there are women and men out there who have cancer, and they too live with that every day because they actually have the disease. And we're over here worried we don't have the disease, but we're going to get the disease. It's this really weird paradigm. All that being said, I think what I really wanted to share and sort of acknowledge is that the agony of waiting fucking sucks. It just does. And like I said, I don't know a way around it. But I do know that I think acknowledging it really helps. I think that talking to people when you're stuck in the agony of the waiting will help you not be stuck. I know it's hard and we're not always good at it, but I think in order to survive and thrive, I think it's what we have to do. So, my message today is don't let the agony of waiting crush you. Take a moment to take a breath and acknowledge it. Know that it's going to be there. And then talk to people and, you know, shut it down for today. That's it.